Hello, recruiters and people that happen to click on this. I made this concrete path through some sort of park or green space. Recruiters, listen up. I made everything here. All of it. There's more where that came from. Email me. Alright, so I guess I'll just go ahead and show you each of these frames one at a time. If you are learning 3D environment art, this isn't really a tutorial, but I still think I would have liked a video like this that just showed me the steps that one might take when creating a scene like this and the thought process behind certain steps. So to start off with, we got block out, floor, more block out on the walls this time, the dirt, the really bad dirt actually, the good dirt, the concrete, the fixed concrete with world alignment on the shader, modeling out the floor pieces, modeling out the wall pieces, starting to add dirt to the corners with distance fields, multiplying a grunge texture into that dirt map to make the dirt not so sharp like it was back here, remember? Using another grunge map to add a sort of broad color variation to the whole material. Adding the top dirt that drips down stuff, grunge I guess is what we call it. Moss. You can't really see it that well right now, but you will later. Removing everything. Just kidding. Actually adding procedural normals to where meshes interact with each other. That uses distance maps as well. Adding all the grunge back, but now you can see the moss pretty well, and how it's added with another grunge texture. Removing all the grunge from on top of the materials. That way it only applies to the sides and I can control how I want to decorate the top of it. Bringing back the grunge for my stairs because I like the way that looks, and removing more of the grunge with my noise mask again. Adding procedural edge damage to the corners of things. I really like how it turned out on the wall and this little area. Adding bottles for environmental storytelling. Ooh, somebody drank here and a bottle fell down. Leaves and the places where they go, which are corners. The dirtiness underneath leaves, which is all vertex painted in. Grass, but too colorful, so toned down grass. But even that was too uniform, so I used another world-aligned grunge to add variation. Real grass has dark areas and lighter areas, I suppose. You can see it in reference pictures. Use a reference. Trees! I photoscanned those because I've tried very hard in the past to make tree trunks from scratch, and it is not a good idea. Here I bulged up the ground over by this area because I wanted to experiment with trying to make the dirt come onto the path. I think it worked alright because this is just using more vertex painting over where the dirt touches the path, and the same material of course. I walked through a park for real and noticed that when leaves fall off trees, sometimes they land on top of the grass and not just underneath. More color variation, but this time darker patches on top of the lighter patches. Sticks and leaf debris. This is where I started adding a couple decals. These drains are also decals, and there are some little cigarette butts here, but those are really tiny, so nobody could even see them. Here I added some weeds to the cracks. Shadows, because trees actually have leaves on them. Relighting to make it more of a sunset scene, and to highlight more dimension and create more contrast within the piece. And then a bit of color grading because the darks were too dark. A bit of a silhouette, and complete. So what's the lesson of the day? I guess real life is made up of a lot of subtle, almost imperceptible little details, and the more layers of detail you add to a 3D scene, the better it will generally look. For a performance cost, of course, but this scene is obviously very optimized because I'm not a slacker. Also, we learned that the more work you put into the procedural applicability of your shaders, the easier making a scene will be moving forward. For example, if I were to continue making this path, I would never have to worry about adding grunge or edge damage again, and the procedural normals make it look like there's a lot more modeling going on than there actually is. If anyone has any questions, throw them down in the comments and I'll try to respond to everyone eventually if I can. If anyone has any tips or critiques, throw them down there as well, and I'll keep those in mind for future projects. If anyone wants to offer me any jobs, do that.